Well, good evening, friends. Welcome back to the return of Between the Shadows. I am Kristen Pierce, and I am joined by my favorite co-host forever and always, Miss Kara Tillitz.
Hello.
And guys, it's been a while. It has been a while.
It has been a while.
And if you've been reading our updates and reading our Facebook and Instagram posts, you kind of get an idea of what's been going on. This is our first one since our dear Kara found out about her diagnosis. But I'm not going to share on that. It's not my story. It's her story. So,
yeah. No, it's been a few months. Just trying to navigate through how I'm feeling and what's going on, and finally feel like I'm kind of at a place where I can get back into things again, and I'm excited to do it.
It's pretty touch and go there for a while, and it's been a stressful couple of months. Been a roller coaster of a couple of months, and. Yeah. But it is really good to be back and talking some Dark Shadows. I have been itching to talk about it, and we've had a couple of episodes lined up for a few months, so it's good to finally get out and put them out there and be back with y'all, and we're excited to be back. So,
yes.
Yeah. So,
all right.
We're just going to get on with the story, I guess. Last time we left off, we talked about Vicky going back into the past with Jeff, and Elizabeth immediately hiring Maggie to be the new governess. And then Elizabeth promptly gets the conclusion of that curse that Angelique/Cassandra put on her, so she is seemingly dead. So that's where we are. That's kind of where we left off.
Yeah.
So continuing from that, after that episode was over, we go to the next one. Before we start, I just want to let y'all know we're going to be covering episodes 656 through 667 for those of you who are keeping track. So we see David and Amy in the West Wing, and David is crying. He's upset because Elizabeth is quote-unquote dead. But Amy keeps telling him she's not dead. She's not dead. And somehow, with Quentin's help and his sending them on some kind of mission, Quentin's been very, very vague and very not really clear, at least to us, about what he's doing. But he sent the kids on a mission, and somehow this makes David just okay with everything. And he's really good at faking that sad, though, and everybody feels sorry for him. So he's still faking sad, but he's still okay, So Barnabas, who has kind of taken over the decision-making at Collinwood, thinks it's a good idea to send the kids off to boarding school in Boston, which I don't know. I mean, Elizabeth just hired Maggie to be the new governess, and Barnabas is trying to ship them off to boarding school.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I mean, with all the macabre stuff going on in the house, I can only imagine that's why.
Yeah, I mean, maybe with losing Liz, he feels like it's too much for Maggie to handle on his own. And personally, Barnabas never had any kids, at least not in this universe. And I don't feel like if he was the sole decision maker of Collinwood, maybe he felt like he couldn't handle it. And okay, that's admirable. So, I mean, I guess with just losing Vicky and now Elizabeth, he feels like maybe they need a fresh start. But the kids, per Quentin, aren't thrilled with leaving the house, so they start plotting. These kids have been plotting ever since Quentin came on the scene. The kids have just nonstop plotting. So they plot a way to get to be able to stay. Mrs. Johnson has been assigned with clearing out Vicky's room so that Maggie can move in. With all the rooms in Collinwood, why she wanted her to move into Vicky's room instead of another room, whatever.
Probably the only room that was clean.
Probably. But Mrs. Johnson, she gets sad about Vicky's clothes and wants to know what she would do with her stuff. And Barnabas, who is still heartbroken, I think, over Vicky saying, no, I don't want to marry you, and then her just disappearing, just very hastily with, a little bit of anger in his voice, says, just get rid of everything, burn it, I don't care what you do with it. Just get rid of it. Including the music box. Including the music box. And that thing was so precious to him, but now that it's been in Vicky's possession all this time and she's now gone, it's too painful for him, I think. And this music box used to be a tool for Barnabas. He gave it to Josette in 1795 as a promise of their love, and in present day he gave it to Maggie, trying to convince her that she was Josette. And now he gave it to Vicky, at first to convince her that she was Josette, but I think he realized that Vicky was the perfect person to have that music box because she was so much like Josette.
Right.
And now, instead of being reminded of Josette, all he can think of is Vicky when he sees that music box. And I think that's why he wanted it gone. I think he tries to convince himself that he has to forget her. On the outside, and to the others, he tries to remain strong and doesn't want them to see how much Vicky leaving has affected him. But the only person he really seems to be real about his feelings with is Julia. Of course, it's the one he trusts. But Barnabas is very affected by what's happened to Vicky, and he's grieving her. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. So Maggie, she goes upstairs to unpack her clothes, and when she opens the wardrobe door, all of Vicky's things that Mrs. Johnson had just removed are suddenly back in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
Maggie calls Mrs. Johnson back and asks her if she put her things back, but of course she didn't. Mrs. Johnson thinks that this is a sign that Vicky is coming back. And Barnabas is super impatient about it, as we've already established. He doesn't like anyone to talk about Vicky, and especially doesn't like Mrs. Johnson talking about her coming back, because he knows it's impossible. It physically pains him when he opens the music box and lets it play. Like, you can just see it on his face.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he tries to remain stoic, but I don't know if everyone else was just oblivious to it, but I mean, to us viewers, it was like, oh yeah, Barnabas is hurting,
Yeah. And the kids are playing this silly game of laying out their clothes for Boston and pretending that someone or something is putting them all back in the closet. It's just a ploy to get them to cancel the Boston trip. And Barnabas insists he won't change his mind.
These dumb kids.
I know. It's like, you guys.
So it begs the question, I mean, did they put Vicky's clothes back, or did some real force, I don't know.
So Chris comes by to see Amy, but he's really there to see if anybody has seen Joe lately. We remember that Joe saw the werewolf transformation, and Chris is doing some recon and wants to know if he's telling people.
Yeah.
Barnabas does tell Chris about the incident with Joe and Amy. He tells Chris that Joe is mentally disturbed and tried to forcefully remove Amy from the house. Chris plays it off and claims that he saw it coming for a while, saying that Joe hasn't been himself for months. Later that night, Maggie's in her room and the music box starts playing by itself, and a note is tucked away inside. It says, "I'm alone, please help me." She brings it to Barnabas immediately, and Barnabas tells Maggie they're going to stay, and he's going to find a way to help Vicky.
I personally thought that this was one of Quentin's tricks, but the kids state that he can't make the music box open on its own. So it sounds like whatever this is with Vicky, it did the kids a favor and kept Barnabas from taking them away. So it maybe the clothes being back in the closet, maybe that wasn't Quentin. Maybe that was just the kids playing off of that.
Yeah.
But it certainly did do them a favor, because now Barnabas wants to stay and figure out what's going on with Vicky.
Yeah.
So this was kind of an end of an episode. The next episode opens with Joe, who was sitting in a jail cell. And I don't think it's because he committed a crime. I think it's more because Julia wanted to keep him safe until they knew what to do with him, because he's completely gone off the deep end with since the transformation.
Right.
Julia calls Chris and tells him that he's been talking nonstop about Chris, and she wants him to come down and see if he can, calm Joe down. And Joe doesn't know why he's there and keeps telling Julia and Sheriff Patterson that he's got to go and he's got to find Chris. And Joe won't give up Chris, though. Like, he has seen the transformation, but he won't give him up. And so everything that Joe says sounds like nonsense. He just keeps saying, Amy and everyone's in danger, and when Chris comes, it'll make everything worse, And he freaks out when Chris comes, and he says to keep him away and tries to choke Chris,
Yeah.
And then Julia pulls out her secret weapon.
Yeah, she does.
Her little sedative.
Her sedative.
And Joe begs her not to, because he can't handle the dreams.
Yeah.
And he says the dreams are awful, and we learn very soon how bad these dreams get. He dreams about, he immediately goes into a dream, and he sees the transformation of Chris turning into a werewolf again. And Chris begs him, just like he did in real life, to shoot him, and he shoots him again like he did before, and he doesn't die. And after that, he goes to Collinwood to try to rescue Amy again, and the werewolf is there. But Julie is also there, ready to give him a sedative. And the werewolf is gone. In his dream, he does give Chris up as the werewolf.
Yeah.
Then he ends up, oh my gosh, this scene. So he ends up in the cemetery, in the Collins Mausoleum. Y'all, I have a hard time saying that back to back. Collins Mausoleum. That's where he's ended up. That's where he is. Y'all get it. And he runs into Chris. the man is just standing there smiling at him. He's bright and chipper and seems genuinely happy to see Joe, and says he hasn't been to Collinwood in a long time, and he pretends not to know what Joe is talking about in the slightest. And Joe tells him about seeing the transformation into the werewolf, and Chris says, "What a terrible dream," and then asks Joe what he's doing in the mausoleum at that time of night. Mm-hmm. And that is when Chris tells him that this is a simple case of mistaken identity, and he is actually Tom. And the terror starts all over again for Joe. Because Tom is dead and he's actually a vampire. And Joe runs out of the mausoleum and comes head on with the werewolf. And now he's stuck between these two brothers. One werewolf, one vampire. Mm-hmm. Team vampire, you guys. I love Quentin Collins, but team vampire.
I've always been team vampire.
Yeah, I love Quentin. Don't get me wrong. I love Quentin, but team vampire, baby.
And it all started with Barnabas.
I don't care what you say. And that's when he wakes up to Julia and Sheriff Patterson and Chris putting him into a straitjacket. And they haul his ass off to Wincliffe in the morning.
Yeah. Ugh. Now, when Julia returns to Collinwood, she tells Barnabas about the situation, and he, in turn, tells her that he's not going to go to Boston because he has to find a way to help Vicky. Mm-hmm. He shows her the note Maggie found, but Julia thinks that Vicky isn't responsible and tries to talk him out of what he's trying to do here. She's like, "You refuse to give up, don't you?" Mm-hmm. Like, you just refuse to give her up. She's successful in talking him down, and he resumes packing to go to Boston.
Yeah, this whole back and forth, like, he's like, "I'm going to stay. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should just go to Boston. You know what? No, I'm going to stay." And David comes down and wants to take a picture of Barnabas and Carolyn. He takes the picture, and Barnabas goes off to the old house to pack. And, I mean, at first, he tries to take it in the drawing room. "Oh, the light's not great. Let's go outside where the sunlight is," So he takes the picture of them. They're in front of the doors of Collinwood, mm-hmm. and Barnabas goes off to pack to go to Boston. And David starts developing the picture and notices something strange. There appears to be a woman in the background hanging by her neck. And Amy says maybe Quentin did it, but David says he's not strong enough to do something like that. And we actually find out that Quentin isn't even strong enough to leave the room in the West Wing.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not at present time.
Yeah.
And I think that Quentin is gaining his power through the children, but isn't strong enough to do much of anything without them.
Right.
Which is why the children are so important to them.
Exactly, yeah.
So I say them, him and Beth, because we've seen Beth, I think. And so Harry Johnson, Mrs. Johnson's son, is taking the bags out to the car, and they're getting ready to leave for Boston when David brings the picture down. And they discover what the kids discovered, that there's a woman in the background hanging by her neck, and they all assume it's Vicky. And now Barnabas's decision to not go to Boston, it's sealed. He's not going to go.
Yeah.
And I think this is the last back and forth we get. He's not going to go.
Yeah. He decides he's going to find a way to go back in time to the days when he first lived and find a way to help Vicky. Julia, once more, tries her best to talk him out of it and says he can't change the past. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Barnabas decides to go and see Professor Stokes.
Yes! I love this scene.
I know. He thinks that because he helped Peter Bradford get back there, he can help Barnabas too. Which would kind of make sense because Barnabas is from that time.
Yes.
Like, he does kind of belong in that time.
He does, but Professor Stokes doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. Stokes won't give them... what did he give Peter Bradford? The leaves? Like they were some kind of leaves that opened up his mind to be sent back. I think it was leaves because he was like, when he was doing the ritual or whatever, yeah. Each time he ate a leaf, he asked a question or did an incantation or something. Something like that.
So that's what Barnabas went there to ask him for, was these leaves, send me back. But Professor won't give it to him.
Yeah. He claims to have taken them himself and they only produced a mild depression, he says. He says the only way that they might work is if he was from another century. And Barnabas asks the question, suppose I am from another century? Mm. And Professor responds with, then it's the best kept secret in Collinsport.
I think Professor Stokes suspected, y'all. I think he suspected.
I think he always had his suspicions, for sure.
It's like we said way long ago in another episode that Professor often asks questions that he already suspects or knows the answer to. He's just waiting for someone else to say it, to confirm it. And yeah, I don't know. I think Professor had a good idea, but
yeah.
And the kids have been in the graveyard while all this has been happening, and there was a brand new grave dug, and then just a few minutes later, the grave was filled in. And Amy says Quentin again, and this is where David tells her that he's not strong enough to leave the room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like we said.
Yeah.
So Barnabas leaves Professor's defeated and without his help, and the kids tell Barnabas about the grave in the cemetery, and Barnabas decides to go there for himself, and he is convinced that Vicky is going to hang this night at midnight. Also, on a side note, I do love when they do graveyard scenes. I think they're very well done.
Yeah.
Like the graveyard scenes, they always give me that vibe that they're actually in a graveyard, you know? And very creepy and foggy, and I love them. I love the graveyard scenes. So after a few minutes in the graveyard, a headstone appears, and it's Vicky's headstone, stating that she was hanged as a witch in 1796. And Julia thinks that Vicky will be returned to the present, as she was before. But Barnabas reminds her that there is no one here to take her place as there was before. So if she dies in the past, she's just going to be dead. She's going to die.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where Barnabas retells Julia the events that happened that night that Vicky was hanged. Like, in all this time, we forget that Julia doesn't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, he just recently told her about Angelique, you know, and how he became a vampire. And now he's retelling her the events of that night when Vicky was hanged.
Now, I have a question.
Okay.
After Vicky went to the past, to 1795, and then she came back, was Barnabas's memory changed? Like, did all of a sudden his memories include Vicky being there?
I think so. I think he has both now. I think he remembers Phyllis Wick, but I think he remembers Vicky too.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do,
his memory has all of a sudden changed because there was somebody different there?
I think so, but I don't think it was replaced. I think he remembers both now. If y'all got something to say about that, please let us know.
Yeah.
But my personal opinion, he has both now. He remembers Phyllis Wick, but he remembers Vicky too.
Okay.
So I think he remembers two different people. So, but I mean, when he talks about it, he remembers Vicky. You know.
Yeah.
When he's retelling Julia what happens, Vicky is the one he's remembering.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
He tells her how his mother found him and killed herself, and he went after Forbes, and how his father planned to end the curse. And we remember that it was almost curtains for Barnabas when Forbes fired the crossbow. Luckily, Forbes was a terrible shot and missed Barnabas's heart, and Barnabas did kill him.
Yeah.
And Barnabas remarks that he was too hasty in killing Forbes, and realizes now that he could have dealt with him differently. So that's what he decides he's going to do when he gets back there.
Yeah.
And, you know, Barnabas, like we said when we were talking in the past, you know, Barnabas was a baby vampire and was dealing with things, you know, differently back then because he didn't realize he could do other things, you know?
Right.
And I do want to just touch on this. I don't know if anybody remembers, but I remember when we were talking about the past, we were saying that there is nobody in the past that he bit that he didn't kill.
Right.
Aside from Josette, because Josette jumped to her death. But I do remember one other person that he bit back then and didn't kill. It was Millicent.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about Millicent, but if there's any others, let me know. But that's the only one that I could think of, is the only person that he bit and didn't kill was Millicent.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a little side note there. I've been meaning to correct that for a while. So, so he calls on the spirit of Peter Bradford to help bring him back. And somehow it works. Yeah. It works. Mm-hmm. And one moment he's in the graveyard with Julia, and the next he's standing in the graveyard alone, bearing his fangs.
Yep.
And back in the beautiful 1796 garb. I love it. That scene was so well done. Like, one moment he was standing there with Julia, and the next, you just see it on his face. He's different. Those fangs, doctor.
The eyeliner.
Eyeliner. Yep. And in the next moment, Ben Stokes is there to meet him, and Barnabas tells him that he's going to change history, and Ben's like, what? What are you talking about, Mr. Barnabas? You know? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And first thing, he tells Ben to tell his father that he is gone to Bangor. Like, Barnabas went to Bangor to find Forbes. And his plan for this is that Joshua will follow him there so that Joshua can kind of just be out of the way.
Right.
And then he tells Ben to make sure that Forbes goes to the den when he gets to Collinwood.
Mm-hmm.
Then he takes off to go to the Eagle to take care of Forbes. And everything goes the way that it should, or everything goes the way that it did before at the Eagle. And, you know, my mother's dead because of you, and I'm not going to kill you now. 9 o'clock, you're going to die.
Right.
You know, everything goes exactly the way it did in the past.
Well, and then after that, he goes to see Vicky in the jail.
Yeah.
She, of course, is shocked to see him because she thought he was dead, and so did most of the family.
Mm-hmm.
He explains that he was under a curse by Angelique and that he's come back to help her. She explains that she is grateful, but there is someone else that is going to hang for a murder that she committed.
Mm-hmm.
All these things we already know, but Vicky doesn't know that Barnabas knows it because for her, it's the Barnabas of 1795, not the Barnabas that she knew in the present time.
Yeah, she doesn't realize this is the Barnabas that she's friends with in the present day.
Right.
So
Barnabas claims that Ben told him everything. She tells him that she returned to the time that she came from, but then realized she couldn't live without Peter's love, so she decided to come back to this time and relive all the moments so that she could be with the one she loves in death.
Mm-hmm.
Barnabas responds with, "Wouldn't you rather be with him in life?"
Mm.
He promises her that before the sun rises the following day, she and Peter will both be free.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy, man.
yeah.
So, back at Collinwood, Ben sends Forbes into the study as before, and Forbes prepares to shoot Barnabas with the crossbow, just as before. This is the moment where Barnabas chooses to change things. He instead decides to taunt Forbes by speaking to him but not appearing, and then he kind of attacks him from behind and insists that he write a formal confession that he lied on the stand at Victoria Winter's witchcraft trial. Forbes does not agree unless Barnabas will sign a confession stating what he truly is. So Barnabas is forced to bite him in order to get him to write a signed confession.
Mm-hmm.
And they haul Nathan off to jail for lying on the witness stand, and Millicent goes down to see him. And he tries to convince her to stake Barnabas in his coffin during the day, but Millicent can't bring herself to do that or even understand what's happening.
Right.
And later, Barnabas finds himself on the docks where a lady of the night wants to get cozy.
Mm-hmm.
And Barnabas does attempt to bite her, but she falls into the water and dies. And he returns to Collinwood, ashamed of himself for giving into these impulses once more. He goes into the study, and there is the body of the woman he just killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she showed, that was creepy, like that hand sitting there.
It was creepy.
Oh my gosh. He goes to get Ben to help him dispose of the body. But when they get back, they find Angelique, who has found out that Barnabas has returned to the past to save Vicky.
Yeah.
And that's just boiled her blood all over again, and that little evil green head of jealousy pops up in her again.
Right.
And she tells Barnabas that she has to remain in this time as punishment for her past mistakes. And she agrees to help save Vicky if Barnabas agrees to stay in this time with her and never make any attempt to return to the present day. Mm-hmm. And he responds with all that's happened, you still want that. Mm-hmm. We're going to have this argument again.
Right.
And he tells her that he can't even pretend to love her, and she knows that, but she wants him to stay anyway, so he has no choice but to agree. This freaking argument again.
I know.
Every time that it's been a while since Angelique has shown up, it's the same one. You have to be with me. You have to stay with me. You have to do, you know. Right. I know you can't love me, but I want you to stay with me anyway. Why do you want that? Why do you want that?
Right. So Angelique says she will place Vicky under a spell that will make her drop to the ground when she gets to the gallows, and she will appear to be dead. And once they get her back to Collinwood, she'll remove the spell, and she and Peter can leave together. Mm-hmm. But that's not at all what happens.
Yeah.
Vicky goes to the gallows and hangs, and it looks like Angelique didn't come through at all. Mm-hmm. They take Vicky's body back to Collinwood, and Angelique stands over her and says she will not release Vicky from the spell until she's in the ground.
Why did she want to hurt Vicky?
Because Barnabas loves her.
Yeah, okay. But jeez. I mean, that's not what you agreed to, woman.
Mm-hmm. She's a witch. What do you expect?
Yeah, I guess, but jeez. Barnabas rises from his coffin the following night, and he's disgusted that Angelique actually came after betraying him. She claims that she will release her from her spell when they leave together, But Barnabas tells her, I will never go with you, to which she responds, then Vicky will die a horrible death. But at that moment, Ben comes running in with a torch and sets Angelique on fire, and she burns up. And as she's burning up, Vicky wakes up. It's like, burn, witch! You know. And as Barnabas and Ben are leaving the tower, Natalie Dupre sees them and realizes Barnabas is alive. And Millicent tells Natalie that Nathan saw Barnabas too and wanted her to destroy him by driving a wooden stake through his heart. I think this is the moment Natalie realizes he's a vampire, and Natalie wants to avenge Josette's death by destroying Barnabas.
Yeah.
Even though I still stand by this. Barnabas is not the one who killed her. He's not the one who killed her. She jumped. It was Angelique.
Yeah.
Angelique made her jump. Barnabas sends Peter and Vicky off into the sunset, and Vicky and Barnabas say their final goodbye. She tells him she will always feel close to him no matter where she goes or what happens. And Barnabas tells Ben that he needs to return to the cemetery where he was to meet Julia. But when they get there, nothing happens, and Barnabas thinks that since it didn't work, he needs to go to the mausoleum and be chained up, and like he was before, to return, you know. And he asks Ben to wrap the coffin in chains and make sure that nobody disturbs the place until the right time.
Right.
When Ben goes to chain the coffin, he finds Natalie and Nathan there. And Natalie had Nathan removed from jail so that he could help her destroy Barnabas. And Ben, in a fit of rage, kills them both.
Oh my God.
He kills both Natalie and Nathan to protect Barnabas. And the following night, he chains the coffin like he was directed to by Barnabas.
Yeah.
So in present day, Julia and Willie are going crazy because Julia has gone back to the graveyard every single night like she was supposed to, but Barnabas has not shown up, and they are getting worried. And it's like, he's dead. Oh my gosh, he's not coming back. But Willie, it's Willie who saves the day. He gets this idea that maybe they're supposed to find him the way they did before. So, and when he checks the mausoleum, he's not there. But then when Willie starts to hear the heartbeat like he did before, he realizes. And he realized he checked too early. You know, he's got to go back.
Yeah.
And when they go there again, the coffin's in chains. And they break off the chains and they find Barnabas barely breathing, but they do get to him on time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's it, y'all.
Yeah.
That's what we got for you this time. Barnabas was successful. He went back. He saved Vicky. And barely returned to present time. He had a couple of snafus along the way. And Angelique got to him, but they got rid of Angelique, and yeah, man, this was one of my favorite moments. I love that he went back to save Vicky. It just made me happy.
And he's lucky he made it back.
Yeah, he's lucky. He's lucky he made it back. But so the next time we'll talk about, you know, more about Elizabeth being gone and what that looks like for Collinwood and all of that. And, we're going to keep on this journey here. But this was Vicky's final farewell. That's what we've decided to call this episode, Vicky's final farewell. So that's what we'll leave you with. But we do want to remind you, since it's been a little while, our contact information hasn't changed. Between the Shadows 2021 at Gmail. We're on Facebook and Instagram and X and all of your listening services. Don't forget about our fundraiser for the podcast, buymeacoffee.com/betweentheshadows if you feel led. But until next time, guys, keep it between us and the shadows. Good night.
Good night. Barnabas Collins has been drawn back into the past. Forces from beyond the grave have brought him here to save the life of Victoria Winters. Today he will succeed or fail. In returning to the past, he has had to pay a penalty. He has become what he was, and as a consequence, he must endure wave upon wave of terror. Terror that will seemingly never end.
You've been listening to Between the Shadows, a Dark Shadows podcast. All original Dark Shadows music, video clips, images, and media are not owned by Between the Shadows and is the sole property of Dan Curtis Productions and is only used to promote Dark Shadows and should not be distributed, copied, or reproduced.